Grand Rising, Humanityville. Resistance is futile. And that is so much deeper and more than just what the Borg said. Because when we resist, we suffer. And this morning, I'm done suffering as I welcome you back in to Free2JustB. Grand Rising, good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. I'm Teresa Marie, traveling ambassador of Chi and host of this Free2JustB podcast. And I have been on this dance of transformation for well over 2 decades, probably close to 30 years now. And about 4 years ago, I decided to start sharing my documentation of this dance of transformation. And thus, Free2JustB was born. But really, what I gave birth to back then was just the beginning, just one of the pillars of this awesome movement called Free2JustB. And today, that movement is moving forward. And I am going to talk about the differences between resisting and finally surrendering, and why surrender is really the most rapid method of transformation. But we're going to see in real time if that's the case. So I just welcome you in. If you've been following me for any length of time, I appreciate your patience. A lot of my audio listeners might have been wondering where I'm at, because I haven't uploaded anything on my Buzzsprout platform, but I have been doing some videos, podcast videos on my YouTube channel. But not everybody has been informed of those changes, and that is rapidly beginning to change. As in today, I am out literally sitting inside my greenhouse, and I have my mic set up. Let me see if I can do this and show you. And to be quite honest, I'm amazed at my own self. So those of you that think that you're too old or you can't learn something new, that is all bullshit, and you need to just get over it, because you can very much take that. You can't teach old dogs new tricks and just throw it out, right? Just tell it to get behind you, because you can do more than you think you can. And this setup, let me show you. I'm in the garden, and I have brought my mic out here. I don't know if I can do it. And there you see my little audio interface box up there on the railing. And we are literally inside my greenhouse amongst the beans. And since I get up this morning, this was not on my agenda. My only agenda this morning was to complete my landing page, which is 99% ready, and it will be launched today. And then I will be able to come on tomorrow, and we'll do a little victory dance, and I will drop the link for everybody to actually go to a landing page with all things Free2JustB. And it's only been a 5-year process, but birthing dreams that have been in your heart for 30 plus years don't happen in 5 minutes. So, but back to the resistance, which I'm doing even right now. I'm resisting right now. But there are some reasons why we don't want to go forward with things. And then we paint in our own heads this pretty picture of resistance. The way, here comes the sun. And that's why we're in here, because I couldn't see my screen the last couple of times I've tried this setup. And Spirit said, get in that greenhouse, man. And so now I have this filtered sun, and it it's just beautiful. And it's going to help me get through what I have to share today. So anyway, I used to cover up my resistance with the adage that I was an upstream swimmer. And the kick in the stomach, the reality when you really look at that particular quote, why would you want to be an upstream swimmer? I was sharing with someone a couple of days ago about how my sister-in-law, I was sharing it with Patty, that I can remember going down to the river with my husband and the kids, and getting out, about thigh high in the water, and saying to myself, I don't have American thighs for nothing. And I would turn and I would face the current, and I'd try to walk, upstream. What an idiot. And this is what we do, Humanityville. This is the epitome. This is the picture of resistance. And it's only taken me 50 years to really begin to embody the truth that getting in the kayak, putting your feet on the outside, and just going with the flow of the current is a heck of a lot easier, more pleasant. You get to see more beauty, and it's far less strenuous, and you suffer less. Your muscles suffer less. You sweat less. But here in this dance of transformation, uh, why would resistance come? Well, because the opposite, the surrender, that's the opposite. Resist. Oh, I'm going to hold back. Nope, nope. Or, and just let it flow in, right? Surrender means sitting down, face to face. Oh, you might have to stand. A lot of times I have to stand up and turn and face that resistance. That's the low frequency humanity. That's the frequency of the matrix merry-go-round. And that's what we want to learn how to get away from, right? But the thing is, in order to do that, you have to be willing to stop the merry-go-round, throw yourself off. And oftentimes when you're laying on the ground, that very piece of resistance feels like it's going to cover you up, smother you. You're on the ground and it's like coming down on you. And then you finally realize that you have suffered long enough. You don't want to suffer anymore. So you rise up, you stand up, and you face, you look that resistance right in the face, right? And when you do that, see, even thinking about what I'm about to do is already creating space in my energetic body, in my emotional body. I can feel the grip of resistance beginning to loosen. And really is beautiful to be out here with y'all this morning. I'm so blessed to be home. And yes, I'm diverting a little bit, but it's also a tool. One of the best tools to bring in the good is gratitude. And I'm so incredibly grateful to be here on a Tuesday morning, talking to people around the world, and eventually going to be having a call-in show. I am receiving it before the end of summer. And it will happen. It is happening. It's already there. I'm galloping on the fire horse to it. And gratitude is so very, very important in this transformation dance. We really need to pull it in. and allow it to strengthen us, to remind us. I'll use myself as an example. I've always been a self-abaser. I would get out the whip. I'd call it the wet noodle, but I was whipping myself with guilt and shame and condemnation and horrible self-talk. And I still do quite a bit of it. But I have alchemized or transformed. And people will say, oh, well, that's not true alchemy. Well, to me, alchemy is taking something that looks useless and like the dregs, right? And rising it up instead of throwing it out. No, taking it, looking at it, dissecting it, and building upon it. And that is very much what I believe my mission with everything to do with Free2JustB is about. That is being brave and courageous enough to speak about right where I'm at. And oftentimes I tell stories about where I was. And why would I do that? Because we need that encouragement. In a way, it's a form of gratitude. I'll put a story out that somebody can say, oh my gosh, that reminds me of me. Wow. And if she went from point A to point Z, I can do it too. Then everything I went through was worth it, right? So gratitude is super important, and I'm grateful that I am learning so much, especially 6 months ago when I finally spent some really deep personal time with God and surrendered and said, I am suffering the most when I do things the world's way. And I love that last two quote. It's what attracted me in the beginning to this Tai Chi practice that I have developed into Release and Revive, this moving meditation. And it was the quote by the man, the sage, the master years and years ago, thousands of years ago, who perfected the original movements. And he said, observe what the world does and do the opposite. And everything in me for most of my life resisted that. And I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to, and I would try over and over again, and it never worked. I always suffered. And now and it used to be 90-10. 90, I wanted to be part of the world, and 10, you know, because even as a kid, I didn't understand why I didn't feel the acceptance as just who I was, right? Anyway, I am digressing. I am avoiding, and I need to just bite that red pill and let it go down. And so today I want to talk about, and I'm going to give two pictures of what it's like, okay, so that you can enter into where I'm at. As a gardener, we're outside a lot, and I want to take chiggers as an example. Now, if you live in the South, you know exactly what the chigger experience is. And it is varying degrees. Now, chiggers are little insects, and they're pretty much invisible. You can't even see them. Just begin to correlate in your mind the transformation dance that we're on, right? We can't see these things that are troubling us, the battle between our ears, right? We can't see our thoughts and our emotions. But oh, baby, they're there, right? Well, that's like chiggers. And I'm sorry, I'm drinking my coffee, and I am one of those that like it hot. And so you're seeing me drink it a little more rapidly because it's getting tepid, and I don't like, I want a cold drink to be really cold, not warm. And I want a hot drink to be really hot, not warm. And this is where we want to be. We want to be right in between that, and this is the dance of transformation, the balance, the um, allowing both the hot and cold to come in, and learning not to resist it. I mean, both of them can be here, right? Um, and we suffer when we don't allow everything to be as it is, including ourselves. That's why Free to Just Be is here, because we all want to be just who we are. Okay, so back to the chiggers. So the chigger experience is, a couple of weeks ago, I'm outside and I want to do my moving meditations for the morning, and I go outside barefoot and I do an hour or more or so, depending on whatever the practice was that day. And about halfway through, I'm feeling them. Um, they're above my knees now. Feeling what? Little some things that I could feel coming up my legs, right? You can't see them, but you can feel them. And so after my practice, of course, I went in and I took a shower, because if you're in the South, you know that if you wash your skin as quickly as possible, you're going to alleviate quite a bit of the chigger experience. But then what happens is, later in the day, you begin to itch. And then, about 8 hours later, if you're like me, then you'll notice the little bumps. Now, if you're on the extreme end of the chigger experience, like my husband Roger, pestilence loves my husband's blood. It must be uber sweet or whatever, but his skin does not like the pestilence. And no matter what it is, a mosquito, a chigger, it's going to explode his skin. It's going to irritate, and that's what that man has to go through. But the point of the chigger experience is, just when you think it's over, everything is healed up. If you're my husband, you've gotten to the point where all those bites have literally scabbed over. No, I have never had it that extreme, and just like the Matrix merry-go-round, you think that you have come out of resistance. You think that you have surrendered all. See, I'm coming full circle. I'm not quite just a rabbit trailer without a purpose. And so now your skin is clearing, and then you go out and do another project. But this time you've left your shoes on, and sometimes it's my garden boots. Sometimes I wear them up to my knees because I know. But then you let your guard down and you step outside, and the process starts all over again. And this is often what the dance of transformation is. One step forward, one step back and forth, kind of like the moving meditation. But then sometimes you leap forward. And I have discovered that when I take a leap forward, one small step for man, for example, my landing page. I have been speaking about a landing page for 5 years. And to be honest, there was resistance, but there were time frames, and there were a lot of things. I could list a whole arm length of excuses, but I'm not talking about the excuses. I'm talking about the Earth School lesson in it. I look back now, and it's really funny where I discovered that lesson. And that's a whole nother episode, but I'm just going to give you a tidbit of it. AI pointed that lesson out for me. And oh yes, I have a whole series about my affair with, because I am literally right now in an affair with AI, but it's not what you think. It's not any plagiarism or anything like that. It's definitely, I am using it as a tool, but, there's a whole with a bunch that we'll talk about. But anyway, because I have been utilizing and learning certain aspects of this technology, it's been a couple of months, and what AI is infamous for is discovering patterns. And thus, what I have spoken into it, it's been tracking and formulating into patterns. And it reminded me yesterday that even a few months ago, because I've only started utilizing it a couple of months ago, I was saying things like, I don't know how to do this as I'm in Canva. I'm overwhelmed. This is frustrating me. I have to get away from this laptop. And now I am moving things around, and I'm using keys, shortcut keys, and you know what it's like when you're on a learning curve, and to see, I'm telling you, I am so thrilled with the way Free2JustB's page, and it's just one web page that you just scroll through, and there's no different tabs on the website. It's just one scrolling web page, and it has just turned out so beautifully. And so AI pointed it out to me and said, I just have to point out the progress. Look at how far you've come. And see, we don't see that. We don't recognize that when we're in the midst of suffering and in the midst of resistance. We forget that when we surrender, things go better. But then what happens? So see, we surrender and things move forward. They like leap forward. Momentum, right? But then the ever present, it's never going to go away, folks, but we can and are taming our egos. And our ego is there as our protector, quote unquote. I personally think it's a bunch of crap, but we need to exercise telling our ego to get in the back seat. You know, my verbiage now is, Jesus, take the wheel. Only now I'm really letting him. Okay, I used to just say it like a lot of Christians would, right? And I'll get in, oh, what is that called? Oh my gosh, I can't think of what the term is called. I'm riding shotgun. and and then I tell my ego, you're in the back seat. Some days when he's so loud, I tell him to get in the trunk. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this BS. Get in the trunk. I'll take you out when you can calm yourself down, right? And this is how we have to. This is evolution, folks. These are new ways of being. But the 1-2 of the transformation dance often becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the momentum, especially in the year of the fire horse energy. I mean, we are galloping, aren't we? Oh my gosh. I have made more progress in the last 6 months than I probably have in the last 6 years. And, but when that momentum comes, our ego goes, wait a minute, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not procrastinating. What? Hold on a second. Momentum? We don't do momentum, Terry. And that's when I have to remind myself that Terry's gone. The hippie freak of the South has been dissolved. And I am now full blown into embodying who I've always been, Teresa Marie, the traveling ambassador of Chi. And progress has even been made in that arena, because one of my pet peeves of late has been the people closest to me, i.e., Roger, my husband, who's known me for 26 years as Terry. And that was what I allowed people to call me and what I called myself. And I guess really in the big picture, I don't know. I just, I wasn't ready to step into the full meaning of my name. And if you want to resurrect your own inquisition, look up Teresa Marie and you can see what my name means yourself. See, I can't do any of this for you, Humanityville. Just like myself, this dance of transformation is really a solo dance. I can come alongside you, and I'm dancing alongside you. And maybe some days we'll kind of dance together because we're resonating. But really, this is your own groove at your own pace. But back to the momentum. When the momentum comes, the ego is desperately trying to get you to go back and do the same things that you used to do as your former self, to take you back to those negative energies, to take you out of your place of power. And as you begin to observe yourself, you begin to recognize, no, that's not where I want to go. And I can tell the sun is telling me, you better talk quicker, Teresa Marie. So anyway, that is when we're going 4 steps forward, and then suddenly you find yourself not only 4 steps back, but 2 steps further back, right? And maybe you have inebriated, or maybe you have procrastinated, or maybe you entered into one of the matrix programs or systems that you used to be involved in. And now you're really suffering, because once you leave it, the suffering is it's like tenfold, right? That's been me. That's been me. And I woke up this morning all excited because I had this expectation. I am coming full circle now. I am telling on myself now as to what I was resisting. And the Chigger story still stands. So it's kind of like, just when you think you are done resisting, the Chiggers come back and attack again. The resistance comes back and attacks again. The old way of being comes back and attaches again. It might be much looser of an attachment, but it is still kind of like a digression. But then you begin to recognize, like I did this morning. So I woke up this morning, and I'm telling the story now. And I was super excited because I had talked to my about to be former daughter-in-law, who's always going to be the mother of one of my grandkids, one of my GBs, and had arranged, or was in the process of arranging, picking up one of my grandkids. And I was so excited to get to see Emerald. And that was how I had designed my morning. I woke up and I was thanking God for this, and I changed my whole MO. I knew that my landing page had to get complete, so that's what I immediately worked on. Instead of doing my Slackboard routine and lifting and my qigongs before my husband got up, I worked that hour and a half on my landing page. And then my husband got up and I transferred to getting him launched, starting his breakfast. And in that process here, I'm super happy. Everything is going my way. The landing page is going great. I'm 4 steps of momentum ahead. I'm feeling great. And then I checked, because the last thing I said via text to this daughter-in-law was, so what are the details for tomorrow? And I went to bed and there was no response still. And this morning at about 5, she responded, and I'm like, oh, cool. And here comes the Chigger experience. Here comes the other picture I'm going to give you, the more graphic one, the one that I was actually experiencing. I'll use what happened to my heel 10 days ago. So I have my arms full and I'm about to go out the back door. And one of my cats ran in front of me, and one foot was already out on the porch. And because of the way I had to juggle my body to save myself from the cat, the door continued to swing, and my last foot was not clear of this metal, the corner of this metal door. And that corner, so it's like two rails, came and sliced open the back of my heel, which goes into a shoe, you know, so you can imagine, right? And we're talking a jagged, gaping, and bleeding profusely, like filling up my slipper wound, right? And that was 10 days ago. And picture that. So I can't leave it open most of the time. I wasn't able to wear shoes that had a back. I had to wear Crocs or sandals that didn't have a back. And then imagine having, you know, finally taken the Band-Aid off so that that wound could completely scab over. I know it's graphic, but this is, I'm explaining to you the emotional pain and suffering that I was experiencing this morning. I'm likening it to not only the Chigger experience, but this wound experience. And then a couple of days ago, I had a bump. Okay. I don't even remember what it hit, but that particular almost healed wound got smashed again, and the almost formed scab got tore, and we started the process all over again. And this is why people do not like the ascension journey. This is why people do not like transformation. This is why people don't like change. They don't like becoming new beings. They would rather do on the matrix and continue suffering, because to leave suffering, you do have to not only feel the suffering, but then you have to learn to stop and be still, face it, and sit in the suffering. Why? To get to the other side of it, to fully take all that pain and suffering, all that yuck, and alchemize. That's why I love that word, because it's literally taking the dregs, the yuck, and building upon it and creating something brand new that's like gold, right? And that's literally what we're doing on this dance of transformation that we find ourselves. And it is no surprise to me that I have this ray of light just coming right into the camera, and it took me a long time to figure this setup up, so I'm staying right here, Humanityville. and just let it remind you that this is what we need to do on a daily basis. We need to call that light down, call it down, ask God to send it down into our crown chakra, all the way down into our root, right? And so this is the graphic picture of the gaping wound that feels like it's never going to heal, and the repeat of the Chigger experience, especially when you live in the South and you're a gardener. This is a perfect example of the Earth School lessons when you are courageous enough to begin this dance of transformation, and you begin to finally recognize that you've suffered long enough, and you would rather suffer just a little bit harder, a little bit longer, in order to get to the other side and be done with that particular Earth School lesson. Now, I'm not telling you that they all go away. Now, some of the smaller ones, yes, they do. They're you know, like smoking cigarettes. I can't even remember what that felt like anymore. Alcohol is not quite there, but so close, so very close. You understand what I'm saying? it's always feels new and awkward. It's kind of like watching my release and revive students as I coach them. And when they first come in, they're kind of awkward and they're in their head and their mind is trying to grasp, for example, the figure eight, and they're trying to figure out how to move their body in that fashion. And then the day comes when the mechanics are there and it's muscle memory and they know how to move their body, and now they're not in their mind anymore. Now they're down in their body and they begin to feel the energy, and it usually happens their first class. They get a little taste, and this is why people return because true chi, intrinsic energy that we are, that we were created from, that flows within our body, this earth suit, this sanctuary, this temple that holds that spark of God. When we begin to flow with it again and begin to experience it and feel it in our body, like right now, I am so lit up, right? But back to the story, and so here it is. I opened an email and my expectations were dashed to the ground, and this is an experience that I have really hesitated to share. But I know that there are Grammys and there are moms and there are dads, and dare I say, children and grandchildren that are experiencing this same suffering at different ends of the spectrum of this division. And it is the gaping wound of division. And that is another whole series. I really would like to have people enter into the conversation because there have been centuries now of family division, and nothing makes you absolutely see this program and not only see it, experience it, have it magnified over and over and over again as when you are experiencing it. And I do believe that is exactly why this world is going crazy, because God is giving everybody this opportunity to absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, see the evil. Because we have pushed it aside. We have protected ourselves. We have gone like this. Na, 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 right? We've put our head in the sand. We have allowed, we've told ourselves, we've excused ourselves by saying, well, there's nothing that we can do. Our votes don't count, and et cetera, et cetera. But then when you're here in the midst of it, when you have been part of it, and I will open up this can of worms just a little bit, but I'm not ready to do a full episode about it. This is really about getting to the other side of my suffering this morning, because this wound of parental distance that I am experiencing with my children and my grandchildren, for many, I can give you a whole list of reasons, including my own um, mistakes and choices of the past and the cause and effect, or the quote unquote karma that I am walking myself through. And mark my words, we can't escape. There are consequences for everything that we allow in our life. And if you think that that's not true, when you begin to accept that every choice you make will catch up with you, then you're a little bit more prepared. And yet when it comes, like this morning, it hits so hard. Where 3 weeks with some, a month with some, 6 weeks with some of our kids, I'm kind of like disappearing into another dimension. The light is taking me, humanity. Let go toward the light. Um, but we are in different degrees of this separation, whether it's by choice or just by lifestyle, and we're busy and out of sight, out of mind, and karma and unforgiveness. And there's all sorts of different reasons for this. And, I think of the Decrypto song, and Decryptos, if you've never heard, DECRYPTOS, look it up. This is one of the best uses of AI, and it's worship music. And I'm sure that people, put in the AI engine, find me the best female voice, find me the best male voice, find me the best, and I don't know where it's come from, but I'm telling you, it is some of the greatest up to date worship music ever. And they have this song, My Miracle. And part of the song talks about, when is it my turn for the miracle? I've been faithful, I've been lyrical, right? And that's kind of how my husband and I feel. We have both, separately and together, made massive mistakes, and we have unfortunately allowed our children and our grandchildren to often be the collateral damage, and we understand that that's part of it. And yet, um, the very things that I taught my children, they grew up with scripture. We were in church 3 or 4 times a week. I went through the whole religiosity system, you see, 4 times over, 4 different cults, but always, always, always bringing my kids up in the Word. I have so many versions of the Bible. I have read it so many times, and I've read it to my children, with my children. I had them in WANA, and I was an AWANA leader, which is Approved Workmen Are Not Ashamed. That's a group, a club for kids to do what? To memorize and understand Scripture. And so I know my kids have their word hidden in their heart. And, that word, now I'm looking at it, I'm going, what happened to honor your mother and father? Why is it that you can go to your in-laws, or you can check up on this person, and what are we? Are we chopped liver? And yes, I know we made mistakes, but we have sought forgiveness, and you said that you forgave us, and we have said that we are different. Let us show you. Let us make amends. And we're not even talking like massive abuse here. We're talking about just like regular family disputes, disagreements, belief systems being challenged, and you know all the normal family stuff. But you see, the Matrix has taken that and revved it up so that literally, just like in the book of Revelation, mother against daughter, father against son. And when you are living in it, and now to be 65 and know how it feels, or how it felt to me as a child, to be emotionally abandoned, to feel unaccepted, to feel unseen, and now to be on the other end, and to have recognized that what I determined I was not going to do with my children, that my parents did, that they had no idea they were doing. I don't know how far back it went generationally, but this is the system we live in. And division is a huge tool of the enemy of our soul, the darkness. And we can take it down to the Matrix or Satan himself, right? And anyway, when I already looked at what I did the very same things that I was so hurt and suffered so much in my own family. And when you recognize that that was just the program, that it wasn't true. And all those years, I ran away. I went 2,000 miles away as soon as I could. And emotionally, I checked out from my family when I was 12 or 13 years old. And so I severed it. And that severing was by design. All those programs floating in my head that I wasn't accepted, that I was rejected, that nobody wanted to hear me, and all of that. I did the same thing in varying different ways to my children. But imagine the pain. All right, imagine the pain of that, to actually sit with that and look at your mistakes and realize, wow, and watch your children begin to grow and recognize that the patterns in their coping skills have come out of some of the scenario that I created when they were children. But then, to even make it worse, to watch the third generation and see it so clearly with your own grandchildren and see that pattern of division of people coming into your family. And I've shared before, now I need to close this up. I haven't spoken this long in a long, long time, but let me get you to the tool of surrender. You are witnessing it right now. The very best way to surrender into your resistance and refusal to look at the ugliest things about your walk, the ways that you truly don't want to be anymore, you have to make them your friends, and you have to thank them for all that they taught you, and you have to release them, surrender them to the light, so that the light can do the transforming for you, so that you can step on the other side and begin to embody this new way of being. And the way to do that is to face it. And this is what I'm doing right now here with you. I am letting you know the pain of a mom who feels like her kids don't want anything to do with her. And they have no idea that this woman is nothing like she was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago when I was raising you. And yet I cannot force anything upon them. They are grown-ass adults. And then to have 12 grandbabies, 5 of whom are in Bangor Island, in Northern Ireland, and I never really bonded with. And then the other 7 being close enough, and yet as adult grandbabies, as GBs that are now forging their own lives, the oldest being like 22 or 23 and the youngest being 2, to have no inroads in their lives. It's just a wound that never seems to heal for my husband and I. To have children for years and years, and we're like, God, when is our turn to see that miracle of harmony? We have envisioned one of our children and their spouses driving up our driveway and having full restoration and having all of our children right here on our homestead property, to be able to see this beautiful greenhouse and have a family event again. And to not be there yet, it's uber painful. But what I've done today is I've directly sat with it. I prayed with my husband about it before he left for work, and he encouraged me, and I encouraged him, and then I went and I walked the dogs all the way up the hill. And it was on that walk that the Spirit said, it's time to talk about this. Do you know how many of your brothers and sisters in the great, huge family of humanity are going through the same thing? Do you think that you're the only one that has faced division? And all the way up that hill, I resisted. I was like, this is embarrassing. And then it's the system of comparison. This is also a low vibration. You get on Facebook and you see all these I am watching a deer cross the road, a little tiny baby deer. Oh, I just love living in Middle Tennessee. Um, there was, oh my gosh, I'm chasing rabbits or squirrels, but oh, I lost it. Oh yes, so and it's that comparison thing. You get on Facebook and you look at pictures of people that were with their family, and everybody's dressed in red, white, and blue, and I'm just going to tell you that that is definitely not my husband and I. We are not. We that is way too much of the world for us. We're just not into that group mentality. But you get my drift. Pictures of family celebrations, and we look at those and our hearts break, and we long for that. We remember when our house was the meeting place, and uh, before everybody was established in their own worlds and their own families, and they were just starting out, it was the normal thing to come back home to mom's house, right? And now they go to the other side of the family's houses, and out of sight, out of mind, and it's brutal. It is brutal. And then I realized maybe this suffering could help somebody. And by the time I was walking down the hill, I knew that this is what I had to do. I had to share. And maybe you're a parent out there that just, I'm telling you, this subject has kept me in a fetal position and crying oceans of tears for a long, long time, on and off for 10 plus years, easily. And my husband as well. And yet we hold on to each other, and we hold on to our Christ consciousness, because we know that his word never returns void. And we are not praying, expecting unity and harmony and togetherness and support within our family, not believing and receiving that that is already here. It's already happened. And we are just walking ourselves back toward it. Be careful, Humanityville, because we can cancel out our own prayers. We can focus on all the suffering. We can focus on the have-nots. I have not my granddaughter here today when I so desperately I was so looking forward to seeing her. I was so looking forward to a text or a phone call. Um, oh, but you could reach out too. And no, what do you do when the spirit says no, no more? Let it go. Let it go. They're in my hands. Surrender, surrender. What? Don't reach out? But they'll think I don't care. And I care so much, it's tearing my heart up, right? So maybe you related, maybe you resonated with today's show. I know I was a little bit long-winded, but I believe that there are pearls and gems that my life may mirror into yours, and maybe you can be helped by it. So I so appreciate if you've made it to the end of this video. And I didn't say it in the beginning, and it's because again, it's like a figure eight. I really do not want to be online. And yet, Humanityville, this is where you are.